I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be acting too serious too soon. We've got a really good email here from a guy who he steps in just about every fucking landmine that you could step on when you first start dating somebody that you really like. This girl was obviously into him in the beginning, and they went out on 4 or 5 dates, but you'll see the things that he's talked about on his dates, the things that he does because he messaged her a lot, he talked a lot on the phone, he chit-chatted a lot with messaging apps, didn't go for the kiss on any of his dates, and then apparently I guess they worked the same office or office building, and he sends her a message one day asking her or inviting her to meet for a cup of coffee, and she basically tells him, hey, I'm not looking for a relationship. And he's thinking, what the hell, I would never say anything about a relationship, but he doesn't realize that his behavior made her feel really uncomfortable. And this is one of the biggest things that the average guy that doesn't know any better, how they go about ruining it with women who they got a great shot with. I think every guy that's watching this video at some point or another in their dating life has gone out with a girl who they could tell was really into them at first, but over the course of 2 or 3 dates, 2 or 3 weeks, the girl goes from being really excited to spend time with them to not return their phone calls, always being busy, and they never get a straight answer. Like, what the hell happened? So I have a quote that I wrote on this topic, and then we'll go through his email. And the quote says, being in a fearful and scarcity mindset when dating causes us to try too hard, come off as needy and desperate, appear creepy and controlling, and will quickly ruin attraction and cause rejection. When guys make the mistake of talking on the phone too much instead of talking in person on dates, are too afraid, timid, or shy to initiate physical touching and kissing, talk about their future together, gush about their feelings, etc., this makes women feel like they are being rushed into a relationship that is not of their choosing. It also makes women feel like they are losing their freedom. Men should avoid living in the future or talking about it on their dates and should simply focus on hanging out, having fun, and hooking up in the present moment. They should also take measured steps by only using the phone to set dates once per week until the women they are dating start calling and messaging them in between dates, and simply make dates when they hear from women from that point going forward. So let's go through his email. He says, hi Corey, I'm in a state of confusion. Well, the good news is when you're confused, it means you're about to learn something. He says, I met this girl and displayed full confidence while interacting with her, or so he believes. He says, I sent her a friend request on Facebook and asked her out on Facebook. Full confidence, huh? Full confidence when interacting with her? If you really had displayed full confidence interacting with her, you would have asked her out in person. You would have made a date on the spot instead of sheepishly, after the fact, sending her a friend request on Facebook. The only reason guys do that is because they lack confidence. And so right from the get-go, you've done something to make yourself look weak. Now you can get away with this kind of thing if the girl was really attracted to you and really into you from the start. But if on the attraction level, she perceives you as being like a 5, which is kind of like you're barely just holding on by your fingernails, you do something like this, and because when a woman perceives you as being a 5, her attitude towards you is, I guess I go out, he's kind of cute. But when you do something like that, instead of asking her out in person, because women know that if you're talking to them, that you like them. And then when they see that you like them, and then you don't ask them out, but days later you send them a friend request on Facebook, they think, he's got balls the size of BBs. So he gets back to his email in regards to he sends her the Facebook friend request, and then he says that she was happy and surprised, and we went out. So obviously your attraction level was pretty high. But like I said, the higher the attraction level is, the more you can screw up before you completely turn her off. If you're like just barely there holding on, all it takes is one thing, just like you did, which was sending her a Facebook friend request. Because what really happened is you didn't feel confident enough displaying your interest, and therefore you hid it from her. We had a date and we talked for about 2 hours. The same night, I sent her a message saying, "It was nice to meet you," on WhatsApp. She showed interest and chatted with me the same night for a long time. So why on earth would you go out on a date and only spend 2 hours with her and then message her after the fact and spend more time chit-chatting digitally, electronically? You can't kiss her. You can't make any move. You can't read her body language when you're doing that. This is what I used to do all the time in my early 20s when I didn't know any better. I'd call a girl and I might talk on the phone for 2 or 3 weeks before I get around to asking her out. By the time I finally get around to asking her out, she knew I liked her. But because I waited 2 or 3 weeks, she realized that I was just better for a friend. And so I'd get friend zoned all the time. That's a bad way to go. Women like guys who are mysterious. And guys who go out on a first date and they spend all night, they spend more time chit-chatting on a digital WhatsApp versus in person. That's just a bad way to go. Because they think, well, I got to tell her everything about me, instead of letting the woman discover these things about you. So I can definitely tell you obviously have not read my book yet. You showed up, you watch a few videos, you're like, oh, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Let me find out what the quick fix is for this solution so I can be on my merry way. And the bottom line is, unless you're going to read the book 10 to 15 times, there's just so many little things that you're doing wrong, you're just never going to be very successful with the kind of women that you really like. And obviously you really like this girl, so you're being extra nice and you're going out of your way to be accommodating, but your approach is totally flawed. So if I were you, I would bury yourself in my book and start reading it, because you need to clean up your game. It's atrocious, dude. Then I started asking her about her weekend. She replied back whenever I pinged her. When she came back after the weekend, I met her at the office and she showed little resistance. I pinged her to grab a cup of coffee at the office and she replied rudely saying, "I am not looking for a relationship." So the reason she's saying that is just like what I shared in the quote. I mean, you're basically you're treating this woman as if you're in a relationship with her. And you haven't even kissed this girl yet. You spend more time talking on the phone and chit-chatting like one of her gay male girlfriends, instead of a guy who knows how to seduce a woman and who knows how to show a woman a good time. And because most guys are like this, women have become really good at recognizing this behavior, being able to tell the difference between a guy who gets it and a guy who is clueless, and then you're out of there. And then his response to that was, "I never told you that I'm looking for any kind of dating or relationship." It doesn't matter. Your actions and your behavior communicate that. So you've hidden your interest from the beginning. You act like you're just interested in friendship. You don't make any move when you're on a date physically. But yet you're behaving like you're in a relationship with her, like she is your girlfriend. So it's like, on one hand, you're interacting with her, which communicates that you're interested. But on the other hand, it's like you're trying to hide your interest and you're trying to hide your attraction, almost as if you're apologizing for the fact that you're probably not a very great date, and so you figure you got to chit-chat with her on the phone all the time. You do that, and you're going to talk most women right out of liking you, which is basically what happened in this case. He says, "I asked her out 4 or 5 times, and she went out every time with me. We enjoyed it, but I never made the move to even kiss her, as I don't know how to make a move." That's another reason why you definitely need to read my book. When you behave this way, women can tell you're a total rookie. And I go through step-by-step detail the process of seduction, what signs to look for, and when to go for the kiss. And at the end of every first date, if you're still not sure, you should go for the kiss. If she likes you romantically, she will kiss you back on the lips. And if she doesn't, or if she's structured, meaning she's following a bunch of rules and not being natural, she's going to turn her head and give you the cheek. And when you get the cheek, you move on. The problem is you never really went for it. And so therefore you're not really sure if she was just hanging out because she really liked you, or she was just happy to go out because it's better than staying at home looking at the four walls. He says, I openly discussed a lot of things with her about her sexuality, about my sexuality, about her hookups, her fantasies, my fantasies. She's like that. When you do things like that, you communicate that you're clueless. Talking about sex, it's like in a roundabout way, you're basically hinting that, hey, I'd like to have sex with you, and yet you didn't even have the confidence to go for a kiss. You didn't have the confidence to ask her out in the beginning. Instead, you sheepishly sent her a Facebook friend request. But you got away with it because it appears that she had a high attraction level for you. He says one day she became a bit uncomfortable about always bringing up sex. I mean, think about it. You're talking about sex all the time and you haven't even kissed this girl. You don't go from talking to this girl and going out on countless dates with her and then never making a move, but yet talking about sex all the time as if that's somehow going to lead to having sex. It's like you're waiting for her to be the leader. You figure by bringing up sex, she'll go, oh yeah, you know what? That's a great idea. Let's go ahead and have sex right now. More likely on some level, that's probably what this dude is thinking. If he just talks about sex enough and jokes around about it enough, she'll get the impression and the idea that he actually wants to have sex with her. Here's a newsflash, dude. The first time you started chatting with her, she could tell you were sexually interested. Women aren't stupid. All you've basically done is reveal to her that you have no game and you don't have any self-confidence. And you totally shot yourself in the foot. She did not go out with me when I asked her out the next time. Then I asked her out several more times, but every time she gave a valid reason that she had some important work. Always look at a person's actions. So she's available for the first 4 to 5 times that you ask her out and she makes dates without hesitation. And here you've asked several times and she's always busy, gives you what sounds like a reasonable excuse. But if she ain't bringing up, oh, I can't do it Tuesday, but how about Wednesday? If she's not bringing up counteroffers or bringing up additional days, she's just not interested, dude. But obviously he didn't know that. He figures if I just ask her out enough, eventually she's going to say yes. But what's really happened is she's made up her mind and she's decided that she doesn't want to date you because you obviously don't know what you're doing yet. I flirted with her and I thought she would come closer to me, but things didn't turn out that way. So when you're with a woman and she's playing with her hair and she's touching your arm and she's leaning across the table towards you and her body language is open to you, I go into detail about these things in my book. That's when you go for the kiss. And if you don't know what to look for, that's why you go out on 4 or 5 dates and you never make the move. And you talk about sex all the time because you think talking about sex, somehow she's going to go, oh, he's talking about sex. That must mean he wants to have sex. And you know what? I want to have sex, so yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. It's not how it works, dude. Women want to be in a love story. They want to be seduced by a man who knows what to do and who knows what to look for. And if you're a complete rookie, if you read my book enough times, 10 to 15 times, you get to know it backwards and forwards. You can go out on a first date and come off like a total professional, like a knight in shining armor. I did a video several months ago, probably maybe 6 months ago, Women Who Make It Easy. That guy was a virgin. The guy is living out of his car, performing on the street because his passion is music. And he lost his virginity. He had a 3-hour sex marathon his first time he lost his virginity. And he didn't have to go pick up girls. He didn't do anything. He was just playing music in the street. And this girl walked over with a couple of her girlfriends, listening and playing, started flirting with him because she liked him. He knew what to look for. He could tell she was interested. She took his number. She started pursuing him from the beginning. It was pretty easy. And that particular guy, I think he said he read my book 20 times. And that guy was a complete rookie. He was a total virgin. I think he was like 22, 23 years old. So if a guy like that can do it and have a 3-hour sex marathon because he was prepared, he obviously watched the video that I did, how men can have multiple orgasms, and got comfortable with his own body and was prepared. So when the moment arrived, he wasn't a two-pump chump. He gave this woman the kind of memory that she's going to remember for the rest of her life. She sends me forwarded messages, pings me sometimes casually, and I meet her in her office casually, but it's going nowhere. In other words, I'm still pursuing her, still showing up in her office. Don't go to her, don't call her, don't stop by her office. If she happens to send you a message outside of work, then say, hey, we should get together and have dinner sometime. When are you free? Ask her out one more time and see what happens. And if she won't go out with you after that, or she gives you some excuse, just say, hey, look, my interest in you is strictly romantic. I'm not interested in being buddies or friends. And if you're strictly interested in something platonic, then why don't we just keep it on a professional basis, and we can talk in the office, but as far as you contacting me outside of work, it's just best that we move on, because we obviously don't want the same things. You should definitely review the article that I did, 7 Principles to Get an Ex Back. But you need to never call or contact this woman ever again, and let her do 100% of the calling, texting, and pursuing from now on. If you see her in the office, wave to her and then go about your business. Don't go out of your way to go over and talk to her. She knows in a way that I love her. Come on, man. And now I control myself and don't meet her, as that would lead to endless suffering. Is there anything that I can do to get her back and make her feel the same way as I feel for her? Well, like I said, definitely review 7 Principles to Get an Ex Back. Definitely start reading my book. But at this point, it needs to be her idea. And so stop going and showing up at her office thinking that that's going to lead somewhere. Flirt with other women in the office. Start going out on dates with other women, especially applying the things that you start learning in my book, because you are going to fail 100% of the time if this is the approach that you always take to women that you like. Because it seemed like she was into you, but you talked her right out of liking you. And I mean, that's too bad, but more than likely this is what led you to my work, and now you can start filling in your knowledge gap and turn things around. But like I said, from this point forward, she has to do 100% of the calling, texting, and pursuing. And say she does. Say she texts you outside of work. She's like, hey, what are you doing? What are you up to? Then you ask her out and she says yes, and you go out. Go for the fucking kiss on the date. But from that point forward, it doesn't mean you start calling her and texting her again. I wouldn't call her, text her, or do anything. I would let her do 100% of it, because when a woman blows you off and you've reached out to her and asked her out on multiple occasions, she always has an excuse. Like my book teaches, you're only going to ask out twice, 2 separate consecutive times. And if she says no both times, then you don't call, you don't ask her anymore, you just assume she's not interested, and you move on with your life. And if she ever reaches out to you after the fact, then you assume she wants to see you, and you make a date. That's why doing nothing and paying her no attention and focusing on talking to other women in the office and going out on dates with other women, she'll notice that you're no longer giving her any attention. And the quickest way to get somebody else's attention is to remove yours, and that's what you're going to do. You're making the determination, well, I fucked this one up. I chalk it up to learning experience. I don't want to waste any more time interacting with this girl because she obviously just ain't interested. And so therefore, if she reaches out to you outside of work, just ask her out one more time. Assume that's what it is. Assume that that's why she's contacting you. If she gives you an excuse or says she can't, just say, hey, I just want to let you know my interest in you is strictly romantic. It's not platonic. And if you don't want to get together and go out on a date, then it's best that we only talk at the office and keep it strictly professional. But if you ever change your mind and you'd like to see me romantically, get in touch with me. I wish you all the best. Take care. And leave it at that. Again, I go into detail on what to do, what to say, and 7 Principles to Get an Ex Back. I don't need to rehash that whole thing here. And plus my book. You need to get busy studying the book, dude, because you got a huge knowledge gap. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and choose whichever coaching option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.